Welcome back everyone. Today's video we're working on the case VAC, and this time we're going to be working on the water pump, replacing the water pump with a new water pump. Not a case water pump, but just an aftermarket part, nothing too serious or for mechanical use, so aftermarket part will serve us just fine. So I decided I would change all the coolant in the radiator and stuff, and when I filled it right back up, it wasn't cooling down. I couldn't figure out why. And I think it's because there was an airlock in the pump, and the pump wasn't able to get rid of that airlock. So I primed the system, so I filled it up from the back in that, where the coolant gets returned right into the radiator. So I filled it up from this side rather than from in the cap, and it fills it up, goes down through the radiator, then pressure of water will raise it up. So that worked, and I was back down to, I think it was back down to like 60 degrees Celsius from the, because when it was overheating it was at 80 degrees Celsius and it was still climbing. So now it was at 60, it was a steady 60, but I've had it, when it's normally running, it's down at 40 degrees Celsius. So I think the water pump's not working 100%, and when I checked the blade, it was wobbling a little bit. So we're gonna take the radiator off, front grill off, and then the blade and the pulley, and then take off the water pump and see what we're up against. So this is the new water pump that I got. It was really cheap. It was only $113 after tax. So that was pretty good. So once I get this opened and the other one inspected, then you can see this one. But this one here looks like it's the right one, and I'm pretty sure it will be the right one. So we'll work on getting this stuff apart. So take the grill and the radiator off. It's really straightforward. There's just I'll take you guys off the stand. So it's pretty straightforward. You just got the clamps to clamp your hoses onto the actual fixtures. Same up top here. I already undid all the clamps and stuff. I went ahead and did that already. And then you have one bolt here that I already took out. That's holding the grill down, which is also connected to the radiator. And rather than taking out the side bolts on each side and taking out just the grill and then just the radiator, I decided I'll just take the radiator and the grill out both together. Then there's these bolts that slide right in these sliders, and they're loose enough that I can just slide it right out without having to loosen those. And they're pretty rusted on, and I don't want to disturb them without fear of breaking the radiator. So I'm just gonna pull that off, and then we'll take the pulley off, and we'll go from there. Here it comes, all in one piece. So next comes the fan belt. I took the fan belt off. I went ahead, loosened up the alternator bolt, took the belt off. Now I just gotta undo the last few bolts here. This is the fan. Comes off. And then, oops. Then I took a little crowbar here, and I just pried at the back of this pulley belt, and I just kept going from both sides, and eventually I was able to wiggle it off loose. So that comes the pulley. And now we have our 3 back bolts that have to come out. Well, they're actually nuts on studded thread. So we'll see what part comes out first. And that's probably a 1/2 inch. If I'm not, nope, it's slightly bigger than that. Okay, so that's going to be 9/16. These ones here are probably not too tough. So that was one symptom that I was feeling, that I wasn't cooling down the machine good enough. And the other symptom was I could wiggle the whole flywheel fan, and this here would wiggle a bit. It's just wiggling a bit, but I think the bearing inside here has gone bad sour, so might as well just replace it anyways. But I think this should fix the problem. That one's on there tight. Alright, so we have one more bolt that's on the bottom. And this tractor has definitely been gone through before by someone else. There's always the odd random extra bolt that has a different head size, or has extra washers behind it or something. So this tractor was definitely a good used tractor. And this one was an extremely long one. Extremely long bolt. So now we have the pleasure of taking off this water pump. I have a feeling it's not going to be too easy. So we'll just start tapping it a bit. And it's broken loose already. There we go. This is our pump. Probably turns this way. But inside here, it doesn't look very pleasant inside here. It's all full of like a slight bit of rust and everything inside here. So I'll have to take a look and see what's best now. Alright. So I got this, feels like we got a rubber seal on here of some sort. And we'll just bring the pressure washer and just pressure wash it down. So looks like our bearing is bad on this thing, but the pump actually does look alright. Doesn't look horrible. And there's no wear on it or anything. It's just heavily rusted. Here we can do a side-to-side comparison. These teeth here are much thicker, but it has the same amount of teeth on the impeller. But yeah, we'll see if the holes line up. and they line up perfectly. The only difference is this part here is cut flat. This one here has the whole circle that it has. That's the only major difference I see. So with that solved, and this pump for sure fits, we'll see what we want to do about this part here. You want to just run the pressure washer through or what? Alright guys, so I got the radiator and I used water, and I blew water through this down this side, waited until, and then the theory is if you blow water this way, it shoots whatever came down this way back up the same way it came, and flushed out the whole radiator with just hose water, 30 psi of water. And I came out like with quite a bit of sediment. All that came out of the radiator, and that's all rust particles. So I hope that fixed the problem. And then I used the pressure washer to pressure wash inside here, in the ports and everywhere down here. It's still rusty, but at least it cleaned out all the big stuff. And so now we're ready to put it back together. So I got the seal on, and then this is the new water pump. They put a random hole right where that grease fitting is. So it's like, well, that's weird. You're just waiting for water to get in there and it rusts it up. So I tapped the hole and put a grease fitting in there, put like 4 or 5 pumps in there. I don't know if that's good or not, but at least it's sealed up and it's not going to rust inside. So now it's time to put this new water pump on, and they come with a gasket already from Amazon. They come with a gasket from Amazon, so you don't have to cut out your own or anything, but you do have to watch out that it sits or it's on the right spot, because these 3 holes don't line up like they should, because there's they're position fitted. See, that's still not quite sitted right. So hopefully this is the right turn. There's only one possible setting that you can put these guys on. So you have to find the right spot, and I think this is the right spot. So put it on like that, and then we can put our new water pump in. Now we can tighten up all these bolts. Alright, so now it's time to tighten it up, and then put it back together for a test. Alright guys, so I got the fan on, got a new serpentine belt for this thing. We got the fan painted black, all the rust taken off, painted black, same with the pulley. I did have to grind that, or cut that grease nipple just the head off, because the pulley didn't quite fit. So I just ground that off, and now all we have left to do is throw on the radiator and take it for a test run, start up. This is just to see if it actually worked, this cleaning process. So let me just get this front end on, and then we'll test it. Well, the rain has showed up quite quickly, so I rolled it in the garage a little bit. But we're all set to get this thing started up and see if we're in the business of tractor running. So I just got to turn the fuel on, take off the leftover tools, fuel's on, choke out, and flip the power on, we'll start it up.
looks like we hit success. See the water? Looks like the water is getting poured over. You can see the water's flowing a bit. It's hard to see because water's so clear. It looks like it's running. So the main thing is we got to watch this gauge. Just wait till it gets up to temperature. And the water I can feel is already getting warm. So it's got to be flowing. The water's got to be flowing. I don't see any bubbles, so it must be good. Gauge is still at a low 20. Celsius. The water's definitely moving. I can see it now. Definitely moving. And we're up to 40 now. Well, not quite, 35. And normally it's running at 40. But I had it all the way up to, it was up to 80 and it was still climbing, so I shut it off. Still flowing.